Hello, hello. It is Erica with Redheaded Princess Designs and Holy Rustic. Happy Monday. I have our Silly Goose interchangeable, which is this month's BOGO. So this is what it looks like. The hat, the little thing that he's holding in his hands, and the piece in the basket switch in and out for different holidays. So this is the 4th of July goose. I have been wanting a porch goose for so long, but I don't have one. And I saw this and I was like, this is perfect. It's so stinking cute. So we're going to paint it up together. Come in, say hey, let me know how your Monday is going. I am feeling a little blah today. Oh, I've got a migraine that just won't quit. It started over the weekend and it's still just, my head's still throbbing. I don't know if it's the weather or what, but I've been working on orders all day, trying to get stuff out and together for y'all. Our Wagon Club boxes started shipping already, so a little early, because usually our club boxes ship out on the 15th, but I went ahead and started shipping those out and have been working on getting tier tray clubs and DIY of the month clubs together today, in addition to orders. Today is the last day to get our 30% off. So if you are wanting that, make sure you do that. And then you can grab this month's BOGO. So you're going to put 2 of these guys in your cart. And you're going to get 1 for free when you use the code Silly Goose, all one word. You'll get a buy one, get one free on these. And they are so stinking cute. And we're going to have different interchangeables for the seasons. We've already got a little beach one on the website for summer. And then we'll have some for, I'm sure, all the seasons. Fall, Halloween, Christmas, all the things. All right, so I'm starting by just giving the pieces of the goose a coat of white. I will say there's a couple pieces here that you don't need to paint, and those are the pieces that are your underneath. So it's this back of the face, and then each part of his wings, there are 2 sections for that. So there's 4 pieces there total, 2 for the left and 2 for the right. So none of that needs to be painted because it's all going to be covered up. So we don't have to paint that. We're going to give him another little coat of paint here. And a lot of this wing and stuff is also covered. So you'll notice I'm focusing more on the middle of the body here and not the sides because those sections don't matter as much. And actually, I don't even know why I'm painting up here because that does not matter either. I just want to be sure I get his neck really well and we will be good to go there. All right. So let me know in the comments, do you have a porch goose that you decorate for the holidays? Are you into the whole geese thing? Or maybe you're old enough to remember back in the early 90s, I think it was, when geese were super popular. Do you remember all the geese stuff from back then? So let me know in the comments. What do you think about the geese being kind of trendy right now? I love how everything that was old becomes new again. That's my favorite part. You know, you just look at things that were popular and they just they come back around. It just goes to show, hold on to everything because you never know. No, don't hold on to everything. I am totally not that person. If we're not using it, it needs to go. I don't have time to be cleaning up stuff that should be gone. All right, I'm going to plug in our blow dryer here. And give all of this a quick dry. It's very humid here today and very rainy, so the paint is mimicking that rainy feel and not wanting to dry. So we'll give it a quick dry. If you're local, we have several fun upcoming classes. This week we have, tomorrow night we have a class at Shirelli's Pizzeria. It is a mermaid painting. I do still have room at that class. Our kids class for Wednesday night is sold out, but you can go ahead and save your spot for next month. So you can bring the kiddos out. Next month we're doing a narwhal. It's called Unicorn of the Sea. Super cute. All the fun, vibrant colors. Not just a second here. My camera was going off if there's someone at the door. I don't know who it is, so must not be important. Okay, I'm going to take, I've got a decent base coat of white here on my goose. I'm not worried about the wings or the face because that's going to be covered up with our 3D pieces. But I do want to add just a smidge of a shadow here. So I'm going to take a tiny bit of black on the corner of my brush and just come around kind of in a circular shape. And then I'm going to pick up more white and just keep blending that in. Just so we get just a little bit of a shadow right in there. And it may not show in the end. It may not matter. I do want to just throw just a little bit of that down. Okay. And then let's do face again. One more time. White always needs more coats. And I think the rain and humidity is playing havoc on us today on our paint. Looks like it. Okay, and we'll do the wings one more time here, and we're going to add just a little bit of shadow to these too. So we'll give them a good coat of white. It's always easier to blend and add shadows and stuff that you don't want to be like super stand out on paint that is wet. So we get a nice base coat of white. We're picking up the tiniest bit of black paint on the corner of our brush. I don't even know if you can see. There, you can see it. I've got just the tiniest corner of white, and I'm going to follow the lines on the wings here that kind of separate out the feathers. Then I'm just going to wipe my brush off. I'm going to pick up a little bit more white, and I'm going to go over those lines. And then I'm going to give everything a nice dry. So I don't want them to be quite that intense. So we're going to give it a quick dry, and then we're just going to do a coat of white over top, and that black will shine through like a nice little shadow. We'll just drag, and I'm taking my brush in the direction that these feathers are going because that's helping give us that feathered look on his wings. And we'll give this another quick dry. All right, so that is the base of our goose. Give everything a quick dry. I'm going to take a little bit of white and just kind of tap on the face here because where that humidity is making my paint not dry quite so well, this will help hide a little bit of that. And maybe we should give him some little, he does not have rosy cheeks in the picture. Should we give him rosy cheeks? Let me know what you think. Okay, so there he is. I'm going to do his eyeballs. Oh, I just smudged that. Okay. See what I mean? I held the dryer over there and it's still not dry. It's humidity. Love it. All right, I'm going to just do a quick tap of white on the white part of the eyes, and then we'll do the blacks. Probably would be easier to do in black and then pencil in the white. That's fine. We can go back and fix that. All right, we've got 2 feet and a beak. These need to be orange, so we're going to use our sponge, and we're going to base coat these in orange. We'll probably need 2 coats. If you have ordered this kit as a BOGO, know that the orange that we sent you is a very dark, bright orange. It almost looks red. So we labeled it with an O on top. So when you get your kit and you're opening up your paints, look for the one that has the O on it. That's the orange. And if you add just a smidge of white to it, you'll get a little bit lighter color orange, but it'll have nice coverage for you. I debated on which orange to send you, and honestly, I like that brighter orange. So I think it's just a nice duck foot, goose foot orange. And so that's what we sent. But it really does look like red in the container until you pull it out onto a brush. So just be aware of that. And when you're looking at your paints, it's going to be the one that is labeled with the O. We went ahead and did that so that you would know which one it was. And so speaking of that, those are, if you've already ordered your DIY BOGO for the month, those kits are ready. I am just finishing cutting the pieces and we'll have them out to you hopefully tomorrow at the latest. All right. Oh, I lost an eyeball. All right, I'm just going to give these, instead of doing the white, we're going to give these a coat of black, and then we'll come back in and do the white. I don't know why I did the white, because it's going to be easier to paint the white on. All right, we're going to do our little basket next. Let's move these out of our way so they can continue drying. So his basket is gray, and I'm just going to mix some black and white to get a nice gray here. With my sponge, we're going to paint the basket with the sponge so that we can still see all of those etched lines, and we'll have that cute little texture of the weaving on the basket. It's also why I prefer to mix the gray, because if I don't mix it completely, then I've got just a little bit more character to my basket. Okay, so there's the basket, and then we've got to do, let's see, I don't think that piece gets painted. I think we paint this piece and the handles, looks like. So this piece, and I may be wrong there, but I think this is the one that gets, I'm looking at the picture right here. All right, so there's that one, and then our two little handles for our basket. Hello, Opal and Tracy, how are we doing today? I don't know why all the comments just came flooding in, so I apologize. This is not a club project. This is our BOGO of the month. So each month we do a buy one, get one free. It's a great chance for you to have a little paint night at home or paint multiple kits for yourself, whichever you prefer. So this is this month's BOGO. Here's the picture. And you can put two of these in your cart. You're going to use the code Silly Goose, all one word, and you're going to get one for free. So you can paint one for yourself, paint one for a friend, or you can invite a friend over and you guys can paint together. We're going to do this little base here in black. And then this guy has interchangeable pieces. We love our good interchangeable around here. Sometimes I feel like the amount of interchangeables we have is a little overwhelming. He is on the site. Look up Goose and you should be able to pull it up. And then there is, on the site, you can, when you place your order, you can order either just the Goose base. You can order just the interchangeable, or you can order the whole kit. So if you don't have any of the pieces, you're going to want to order the whole kit the first time. And then the next time you come back to order interchangeable pieces, you can order just the interchangeable. All right, this is the little stand that goes behind the basket. So we're going to do it just in a little bit lighter of a gray. So I'm just going to pick up more white on my sponge. And we're going to paint this guy up. All right, so there is the back. Let's go ahead and put the goose together. That way he can be drying while we work on the 4th of July pieces. So all of our kits are going to come with a tube of glue. I am still having trouble getting E6000 in for whatever reason. So it may be E6000. It may be something similar to E6000, like an off-brand of E6000. But you'll get a glue. Whatever glue we send you, it's going to be very similar to this type of glue. So it's not a quick dry glue. It does need time to dry, a good 24 hours. Everything needs to lay flat before you go and set it up. Otherwise it will move. In about 30 minutes, it's going to seem like it's set, but I promise you it's not. So the first thing we're going to do, you can see you've got a little hole in the top of your goose's head. We're going to cover that up. That's where your hat and stuff sits. So you're going to put down the blank face first, the one we did not paint. Then we're going to put down the painted face. And I always say you need just a dot, not a lot. Instead of like big globs of glue, I run the glue right along, let's see if I can get that, right along the piece. So it's almost like putting on lipstick. We don't want big chunks of glue. Okay, so there's that. We're going to put his mouth and his eyeballs on. And then I always do my details after I've glued everything down. Just how I like to do it. I like to be able to see where everything is setting. And we're just lining up his face here. And she looks a little crazy for a moment, but that's okay with her big black eyeballs. All right, the wings. So there are 4 wing pieces. You're gonna stack them up and make a wing sandwich here. We're doing 2 with the little notches on each side. And they should just match up with the wing on this side of his body or her body. Okay, so there's that one. And then here's this one. All right, so that's our little wing sandwich. So there's 2 pieces here, 2 pieces here on top of the base. And then you have the wings that we painted. And we're going to put those on top of here. I'm going to put the glue on top of these pieces with the notches because I want to be careful not to get a bunch of glue on the back of this piece so that I don't accidentally glue my interchangeable together. I want it to be interchangeable. All right, so there we go. Now we've got our little sandwich so that our little interchangeable pieces can slide in and out of that little pocket. His little feet are going to go on here. So of course he's got 2 feet. And we're just going to put that one right there. And we're going to put this one right here. Get over there, buddy. Might be easier to put the feet on before you put the wings on. There we go. Got a little glob of white on that foot, but that's okay. We can fix that in a minute. Okay, so there's our goose. And then our little picnic basket is going to go. I have to really look at this. Is this really, I don't know if it goes like this or like this. Which way? I think it's going to go like that. It's pretty top heavy, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to put a little bit of glue right here on the basket base. We're going to put this plain piece down. Now we did not paint. We're going to put a little bit of glue on top of that. And we're going to put this kind of picnicky table looking piece on top of there. We're making a sandwich again. Just a little sandwich on our picnic basket. And then the handles go with the dot on the top part of the basket, like so. And I'm looking, I don't think that this gets glued to anything. It just sets in there, so we should be good. That should be all the pieces for this is the base kit. If you're ordering just the base, the goose base, this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get the goose, the picnic table, or picnic basket, this and this. Isn't she stinking cute? And you can get the firecracker goose and you'd be able to change them in and out. I think they're all I'm in love with them. I think they're so cute. All right. So if you're not going to do the BOGO, Tracy, we do have I think it's 30 or 35% off going on right now as well. Today's the last day. If you look here on Facebook, you'll be able to see the coupon code for that. I think it's save 35, but don't quote me on that. But you could use that if you're just going to get one and you want to do the beach one. Today's a good day to buy that one and be able to get it 35% off. Okay. So this is your base for your goose. Let's add our little details to this before we move on to the patriotic insert. So we need some little black dots here on our picnic basket to hold the handles on. So I'm just using the bottom of my brush and just kind of twirling it around in that space so that I get two nice little dots. I've got a little bit of black that went a little crazy on me because there was some water on my brush, but it's okay. We're just gonna roll with it. Okay, and then we've got our goose here. So I'm gonna grab a smaller brush. We're gonna put some black dots on the beak here. I'm just filling in this space. Perfect. And then we'll do the eyes so that doesn't look so scary. And again, I'm just using the bottom of my brush to add the dots on the eyes. And we'll do a little swipe for a highlight here. Like I said, I've had a migraine all day and I'm not feeling very confident in my painting abilities right this second. Okay. I hit my picnic basket with my arm and now it's coming undone. Set over there. Either it doesn't have enough glue or, oh, I know what it is. It's because it's top heavy. So what you may need to do on this piece here, the BOGO is good all month, yes. It will not work on the beach one. It is only on the patriotic one though, so. But yes, you have until the very end of the month to order the BOGO. Okay, I think that needed a smidge more glue. Let's try that. We're gonna hold it for just a moment. It's heavy on this side, and so it's just falling down. Okay. Set that over there out of the way. Come back here, little goose. All right. Let's grab some white, and we're just gonna do a couple little highlights on our feet. Just a couple little swipes. I always tell people, don't overthink these. They don't have to be in a great spot. It's just to give you a little something to look at. Something to help draw your eye around. It just keeps it looking interesting. All right, so there's our goose. She still looks a little scary, but she looks better than when her eyes were all black. All right, we're gonna set all this to the side and let that work on drying while we paint up the rest of our inserts. I'm trying to fix. Set the basket back here, but I'm trying to fix. I just got a little bit of black that got a little crazy because there was some water here on the ferrule of my brush. So anytime you're using a brush, make sure you wipe that part of the brush before you go and use it, because that will save you from having to do this. Okay, let's fix that. I was going to try to just let it be, but it was going to drive me crazy, so. Okay, that's better. I do feel like the basket needs a few little swipes as well. So we'll just add those while we're here. Okay, cute. So there is that. Okay, and then we have, so if you order the entire kit, you're going to get the Goose base and the interchangeable. So right now we have two different interchangeables. We have the 4th of July, which is the one that is the BOGO this month. And we have a beach one as well, which is the one Tracy's talking about. So the 4th of July one comes with a hat, some fireworks, some more fireworks, and a little sign that says firecrackers, which is really cute. I think those might be extra pieces. We're just going to set them over to the side for right now. So we're going to start with our sign. We're going to paint it that same light gray that we did on the laddery piece. So I'm going to drag it. I'm going to use the sponge because I already have it. We're going to pull back and forth across the sign. We want this to kind of look like wood. So in order to do that, we always want to think about our brush strokes, because even if we're not currently doing like a wood grain brush on this, every little brush stroke helps. And I'm mixing that gray again as I'm putting it on, so I'm getting some variation in the colors already. I'm going to give this a quick dry. I'm going to show you how I'm going to make it look like wood. I'm going to find a scraggly brush. If you have, this is a chip brush. If you have one of these are really good for this. They're all frayed on the top. If you don't have one like this, if you have an old paintbrush that's kind of not good for anything else, also works really good for dry brushing. So we're going to take that, we're going to dip it into our white, and we're going to tap 90% of that paint off of our brush. So I have just a tiny bit of paint on my brush, and I'm going to pull left to right across the sign here very gently with that little bit of paint, just to start to get kind of a wood grainy look on there. I'm going to do the same thing with black. I'm going to take just a little bit of black paint on there, tap it off to get most of that paint off, and then we're going to pull back and forth across the piece so that we start to get kind of a wood grain look to our sign. And if I think that's too much black, I can come back with more white. Now that I have that black on this brush, it is going to turn out to be more of a gray color, but that's okay. It just kind of adds a whole nother layer. And I am pretty happy with that. So we're going to leave it. Looks fairly wood looking. Yes, chip brush is great for dry brushing and any kind of distressing. It's super easy to use and it gives you a really fun look pretty easily. All right, we've got our words, firecrackers. We're going to put these in white. So I'm going to take this makeup sponge, which you're going to get one of these in your kit, and I'm just going to clip it with my scissors. And so now I have more space to use. We're going to use the rectangle end, and we're going to dip into our white. Notice whenever I dip my sponge into there, I always offload it by tapping over. I use my table, but you could have something else over here. Yes, you can use the edge of your sponge and drag it so you get a chipped look too. That's super cool. All right, so we're going to paint these words. I'm just going to paint them white. Firecrackers. And these may need 2 coats, but it's better to do 2 thin coats than 1 thick coat. We don't need to put all the paint on there at one time. Tracy, it sounds like you do a lot of painting. Do you like to paint kits like this, or are you painting canvas? All right, so there's our firecrackers. We've got the engraved lines here, so it shows you exactly where to put these. Just like that. And I made sure that I kept this gray pretty dark so that my white letters would kind of pop a little bit. All right, while I've got the white on my sponge, I want to kind of just look ahead and see what else I might need to paint white. I'm going to move the little base of the hat there. We're going to give this whole hat just a good base coat of white. And then we'll come in and do the stripes in red. Okay, so there is that. Ooh, chalk designs, fun. Yes, only the patriotic set is the BOGO for the month. The beach one is not. Okay, for our fireworks here, it looks like this back star is white. So we'll give him, just kind of gonna pat in around on there. I'm not worried about these because those are 3D. So they're gonna be just fine. This little firecracker has red stripes. This one is blue around those stars, and we're going to see how we like that because I'm not sure how I'm going to enjoy painting around stars, but we'll see. We'll just go ahead and give that a coat of white as well. This star is white also, so you know what? You could just paint this whole piece white if you wanted. It would just make your whole life easier. This is the little piece that goes down in the basket. I'm going to have to think of a name for my goose. Everyone always names their porch geese, so this guy's going to need a name. I wonder if it should be a girl or a boy. Okay, and then we've got our USA, so these letters we're going to paint white as well. Yeah, only the patriotic one is 35, is buy one get one free, but you can get the beach one. You could do the 35% off for right now. That sale does end today, or you could do this one as a BOGO and then add in just the inserts for the beach one. I don't know which one would be the most economical way to purchase it. You can't combine 2 coupons in one part, so if you want to do the BOGO and the 35% off, you'll have to check out 2 different times. And that's not a me, that's the system. It won't let us set it up any differently. All right, each one of these little firecrackers. Oh, I like that. See, I'm like Uncle Sam. That'd be cute. Okay. So we're going to do these in white as well because they're going to get stripes. And so it will be easier to just paint the colored stripes and give these a quick coat of white. So there they are. Okay. I'm going to dab these letters one more time. If you have a piece of painter's tape, you can put it down and you can put your letters on there and they won't move around as much, and then you won't get paint all over your fingernails like I do. And I just don't stress about it. Okay, we're going to clip the sponge again. We're going to come in with our red. And we're going to do one of these. Are these the same? They are. Okay. So one of our big firecracker tops, we're going to make red. Perfect. Ooh, that red has nice coverage. I love that. Okay. And then the top of the S firecracker is going to be red. So I'm going to use my sponge very carefully. Right up against that edge. All right. And I think that should be it, except for stripes. This we'll do with a brush. We'll clip this one more time, and we're going to grab our blue. In the picture, it's kind of a dusty blue. I don't know if I love that. I may use more of a patriotic blue. I'm going to use more of a navy. Maybe. If I can get it out. Oh, there we go. All right. So we'll pick up a little bit of that blue. Another sponge. And we're going to do the top of this firecracker very carefully again. Right along that bottom. I need a little, this paint is very thick over here. Well, I just need to add a little water to it. There we go. That will help. Okay. So we're coming right along that bottom and painting that blue. And then we're going to paint this one blue as well, where the U for USA is. All right. And the top or the bottom of his little hat is blue. So we'll give that a quick coat. I kind of like that color. It's not super saturated. Like that. All right, and then this firecracker is blue as well. Yeah, I like that look. If I can get that on these without, I pull, maybe I need to add just a smidge of white. Oh, I like that. Okay. So I'm just lightening up that navy just a little bit with a little bit of white. Oh, I love the primitive look. It's so fun. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we need a small brush so that we can do all of our little stripes. Now, these stripes are pretty small. If they make you nervous, you could get you a good paint pen and do them with a paint pen. It's not cheating. I call that using your resources. I like, sorry, just throwing tape over here. Here's my bucket of paint pens. I like Gravity makes these acrylic markers, which are really great, and they have a super fine point to them, and they come in millions of different colors. So I love those. You can grab those on Amazon, or Posca pens work really well as well, and they also have a pretty fine point. This one is a 3M. So, and maybe we'll just use this guy. We'll just see how he looks. I usually don't use the paint pen, but okay, so I don't have to worry about this base here because this little hat band, yep, it goes just like that. So actually I need to paint those blue now that I put that on there. So we're gonna paint these little wings blue as well. Because they show. And that little tab shouldn't show, but we're gonna paint it anyway. Okay, so then this is gonna go just like that. And that's now a very different shade of blue. So this probably needs a second coat. I pulled out this, I don't know what this is, paint that I have, Liquitex paint, and it's a thicker paint. It just happened to be what was sitting here on my table. And so it's kind of ending up a lot of different shades because it's very, very thick in some spots and not as saturated in others. Okay, there we go. I feel like that will work. Okay, so we're going to use the Posca red does have a pinkish color to it, so we can test it. Let's just look over here where we're going to use it. So here, it's not too bad. That's pretty dark. This is dark red, so it's not straight red. So that's why it's so dark. And then we've got the, let's look at the grabby one. Is this one red? It looks very pink on the lid, but I don't know. It doesn't have the color on the marker. Why would it? It's almost got to be red. That definitely looks very pinky and orange. We can test it too. We're going to cover this up. So we'll just test these. Yeah, that's very pink. And this one is pretty close to that dark red here. So Tracy's right. Thanks for saving me, Tracy. I don't know that I want to use any of those. We'll use our good old brush like I was going to do originally. So nice thin paintbrush, and anytime you're doing any tiny details, take a couple drops of water and add it to your paint and kind of mix it up. You don't want it to be too thin because we don't want it running everywhere, but a little bit of water will make the paint flow a little bit easier for you. And then we're just going to come in and paint our lines. And we're not worried about that base because that's going to be covered. So we're just going to stay in between our etched lines here as best as we can. Don't stress about it too much. There are more important things in life to stress about than paint. This is fun. And if anybody's looking close enough to notice that your stripes are a little wonky or not quite within the lines, then they should find something else to do. They're not your friend, right? We don't want to be friends with those people. So just painting each one of these. I'm not worried about that bottom part. And by not stressing about that bottom, it just makes it a little bit easier for me to just pull the brush and drag it. That way I can kind of get a control of where my lines are going down there in that space. And now I have cute little lines and actually, oh, okay, we might be all right. I might need to bring some white back in and cover that up where the stars are going to go, but it'll be fun. Okay, let's do this guy. So this one here just gets one little red stripe in the middle. Perfect. All right, and then these guys get red stripes also. This is why it's easier to do the white, because trying to paint white stripes on top of red paint would not be fun. But putting red on top of white is no big deal. It's going to cover really well, and actually it's going to give that red just a little more base, so it's not going to need two coats. So it does make that just a little bit easier. Okay, there's that. We're going to rinse that brush off. I'm going to take, we're going to need to do something with this blue. I'm going to grab a little bit of navy here, because I know that that blue that I have there is way too thick to try to do thin lines with. And then I'm going to take my water and I'm going to bring it over here to my paint. And it doesn't matter that my water has been sitting on this table for 5 days and that it's all gross. It's fine. And we're just going to mix it in with a little bit of our blue here. And I think that this color is going to match pretty well. It's a little dark. Let's add a little bit of this lighter blue to it. It doesn't have to match perfectly. I just want to be sure it does go a little bit with what we've already got going on over here. I touched that, so now we gotta fix it. All right, there we go. So now we've got our blue. It's nice and thin. When I dip my brush in, I am twisting and pulling my brush kind of across my plate, so keep a nice little point on my paintbrush. Remember, your little brush, she doesn't hold much paint, so you're gonna have to re-dip often in order to keep a decent amount of paint on your brush. A lot of times what I see people do is they don't put enough paint on their brush. Their biggest struggle when they're painting is that they're not using enough paint. So don't be afraid to really load that brush up and let the brush do the work. If you're pulling your brush across whatever you're painting, your canvas, a wood piece, whatever, and it's dragging and you're not getting a solid coverage of paint, and when you're pulling your brush across, you do not have enough paint on your brush. So put more paint on your brush. And again, that is probably, when I'm teaching classes, that is the number one thing that I see. I see people struggling in it and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm like, you don't have enough paint on your brush. And so that's their biggest struggle. I don't know why people think they don't. They sit there and they don't load their brush up. I don't know why we do that. But you're making your life harder by doing this. Don't do that. All right, we're gonna attempt to do these little star parts. Not looking forward to this. All right, we're gonna go for it. All right, I'm just gonna try to drag my paint around this little firecracker base. The nice thing about the etched lines is they almost create a barrier for you that helps when you're painting. Now, it's not 100%, but if I just pull that paint right up next to those etched lines, it almost just kind of fills it in like you're flooding a cookie or something, without going over. So I'm just kind of pulling it right up against those stars. I'm not worried about them looking perfect. This isn't, perfection is overrated. So we're just getting as close as we dare and doing our best. And I'm using that thin blue paint. And it's flowing very nicely for me across my piece. So anytime you're trying to do detail work or little bitty highlights, you're doing lettering or anything like that, whether you're painting on wood or canvas, whatever the case may be, adding a little bit of water to your paint. You don't want it to be soupy, but think about ink. You want it about the consistency of ink. And oftentimes what happens is that's kind of like the last step of our painting process, right? Adding all those tiny little details. And when we poured our paint early on, it's been sitting here for a while and it starts to get a little doobie. And so then we go to do the little detail work and the paint's a little thick. So by thinning out that paint, it will help it not be as thick. Okay, you may not want to don't do what I do. You don't drag your red quite down so far on your patriotic hat here, because I forgot the stars are not 3D and they do shine through on your hat here. So I'm just coming back and giving this just a little bit of white. I was almost okay, but there was just a few little spots that we're going to show. So we're just going to go over it with a little bit of white. It is harder to cover red with white, but it's not impossible. Also looks like I dropped a little blue on my goose over here, so we're going to give him a little touch-up job while we're doing it. Okay. All right. Let's give this a little swipe of white. There we go. And a little dry. And I think we're ready to glue. Okay, so we've got our E6000 again. And we're doing just a dot, not a lot, especially with this kit. If you get too crazy with your glue, you're going to run out of E6000. But if you use the right amount, one little tube will be enough. All right, there is our 2 little firecrackers for that piece. And then we've got this one here. So this guy's going to go just like that. And then I've got enough glue there in the middle to just put that S inside, and he's going to stay where he's supposed to be. And then we'll take, I've got a big old bubble of glue on here, so I'm trying to figure out how to get it off without making a huge hideous mess. So we're going to rub it on the back of the hat here. And then I'm going to take the U, and I'm just going to kind of dab it in that excess glue, so I don't have a bunch of glue on the back of my letters. And then the A. You could also use a Q-tip or a toothpick to put glue on the back of your letters, or an old brush that you don't care about. Here's the little little fireworks. And then the hat. So like I said, the hat piece here, you're not going to get these little inserts of stars. They're just, it's kind of like they're shining through. And that's because they are so stinking tiny that I'm going to lose them all on the laser bed when I'm pulling it, and I don't want to mess with that. So we're just going to not use those. Okay. And then we've got our quackers and our firecrackers. So I'm just running that glue along the edge, and then I'm going to take the word fire, and I'm just going to pull it across the back there, because honestly, you don't need a ton of this glue. A little dab will do ya. It's like yabba dabba do ya. A little bit goes a long ways. And once it's set, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be there forever. All right, so there's our firecrackers. It is going to be so stinking cute. I love it so much. Okay, I'm just curious how this goes. I've got these extra pieces, and I'm wondering if they're supposed to, that does not fit in there. So I'm thinking these are just miscuts, and this just maybe needs Velcro. I'm gonna bet that's what it needs. Okay, so let's do some little details on these pieces here. And we'll grab, you could do them with a brush. We'll just do them with a brush. Why not? Grab our brush and some black. I'm adding just a couple dots of water to my black so it's nice and thin. And then let's just add in some fun little swipes around our stars and our firecrackers. These little details are what brings everything to life and just adds that little extra something to it. Don't be afraid to add them on, because if you absolutely hate them, you can always paint over them. If you're going to paint over something, just make sure you let it dry really well before you go trying to paint over top of it. But I think these really just bring everything to life. Okay, there's our little guys. I feel like my firecrackers need just a little of black on them as well. All right, there's that one. Cute. Uncle Sam's hat. I don't know that it needs any black, but we'll add a couple little white details to it. So now we'll rinse off that brush. We'll grab some white. And this is where, if you feel like this intimidates you, you could always use your paint pen. But I will say, the more you practice with a paintbrush, the easier it gets. There's this little hat. And you can put these little swipes and swoops wherever makes your heart happy. There are no rules here. So whatever you think looks good. You don't have to do them like the picture. You can do whatever you want. I know that can also be intimidating to people sometimes, but honestly, don't overthink it. The point of this, of painting, is to be fun and enjoyable, so you have something cute that you can be proud of, that you can say, oh, look what I made. Not to be stressful. So don't let it be stressful. All right. Here we go. I'm going to give everything a quick dry just to make sure I don't smear anything while I show you what it's going to look like. Now, when you are, for your base here, you have a couple of options. You could glue your pieces in, so your goose and everything, you could glue them into the base. It is going to make it sturdier, and it's probably going to stand up a little bit better. Or you can leave it in pieces so that everything lays flat when you want to put it away. For this piece, I will probably glue this in here, the goose and the basket and the ladder piece. Those are the pieces I'm talking about right now. I will probably glue them into my base once they're nice and dry, just because I know it's going to make it a little bit sturdier and a little bit easier for everything to kind of just sit. But it's totally up to you. Okay, so your base is going to go like this. So I've got the long piece in the front and then the two short ones. This is where our basket sits. So the ladder piece goes inside those two little short pieces. And then the little picnic basket. I'm just going to set it up so I can show you what it looks like. But remember, you want to let everything lay flat for 24 hours so that it's nice and dry. And then your little goose, he goes over here. And he's just going to set in there just like that. And so you can see how they're kind of leaning a little bit. So if I glued them in here, then they would be a little bit more stable and they wouldn't be so leaning. Let's switch this camera view, maybe. There we go. Okay. I'm going to tilt you down. Nope. Why'd you switch back? I think there was a delay. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now we can see him. All right, so that's what he's going to look like. Remember, we're going to let all this lay flat, but I'm just going to show you so you can see what it's going to look like. Our little big firecrackers are going in the back behind our basket, and they just set right in there just like that. I do think this needs to be glued together. Okay, they set like that. And then our hat goes over here like so, and then his little firecrackers are going to go in his front little pocket. It's hard to do right now because I don't want, yeah, I know that's what's going to happen. Okay, little firecracker pieces go right in here in this little pocket that we've created with his little hands. And then your little firecrackers, we're going to put some Velcro up here to hold that. So it's hard to see it all right now because it's not glued completely. So nothing is really dry, so I don't want to put it all together, but you get the general idea here. It's just slide in here. You know what I'm thinking? Yeah, that's how they go. They just set like that. They're pretty high up there. I'm looking at that picture over here. So that's him, and then he's got his little hat here, like so. But I think what I did, as I'm looking at this, as I'm trying to put it together, I think I put his face on the wrong way. So let's fix that. Maybe. So you see that E6000 is pretty set right now, even though it hasn't been that long since we glued it all. But it's not completely set. Okay, so we're going to put that piece there. And then this piece, I'm actually going to put on the back. It needs to be a sandwich from the back so that the hat doesn't go flying out. Okay, don't do what I did. We're going to put this piece, give me your firecrackers. We're going to put this piece on the back. I'm going to do the same with the basket because that's how it should go. So I'll make a little note in the video description here. Make sure you watch the thing the whole way through before you go gluing pieces together or you'll have yours glued wrong too. All right, so we need plain back piece with a notch in the middle and then the front face. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing over here with the basket. I understand now why this basket is like it is. We're going to take this middle piece off that I was debating where it went. Yeah, it goes on the back too. So that you create like a little pocket for your inserts to go in and out of. I don't know why, but I didn't need that much glue. It's fine. Okay, so it's going to go like that. So now I have a little pocket here in the middle where the firecrackers can slide in and out. And they're not going to right now because I've got glue inside of there, but it's fine. Once it dries, it'll be okay. So plain piece on the back, painted piece on the front. And then you've got that. And then you can decide if you want to glue these into this base, just let everything lay flat today. And then tomorrow you can come back and put a little glue down here on the bottom and glue these in. Because this is interchangeable, I will probably glue these in because it's probably something I'll leave setting up for quite a while. And then this piece here, we'll just add a little Velcro right here on the ladder and on the back of our sign, and this will stick right here. And I don't have any sitting here on my desk, but I always do the scratchy side of the Velcro on the attachment. So scratchy on the attachy, and then I'll do the soft side of the Velcro on here. That helps me whenever I'm making new pieces to know which side of the Velcro I need to put on which. Okay. All right, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments for me. Go grab your cute little goose for the 4th of July. We're going to get these out as soon as we can. I will say we have still been having a few struggles with both UPS and USPS. I don't know what's going on with them, but so if you've placed an order and you haven't gotten it, just send us a message and we'll help you figure out what's going on. But it does seem like there's still some delays and stuff. Not sure if it's the summer or what, But it is what it is. We do try to get all of our orders out within 7 to 10 business days, and then from there, it just depends upon where you live and um, much, how long it takes for the mail carrier or UPS to get it to you. So I hope that you guys are having an amazing Monday. I will be back later this week to paint either our wagon club or a tiered trade club with you. So stay tuned for that, and I hope that you'll join me for those. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye, y'all.